even have on my list here.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Gentlemen of the Corax, where we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different stuff. Today's theme is going to be the kings of the Cretaceous. So, in order to be a king, you have to have certain criteria that could, I guess, be debated between us. So, like longevity could be a criteria, size, ferocity, like any of that type of stuff. But our contenders, we're going to each have three from each of the following categories. We have land, we have sea, we have air, and then we have freshwater slash semiaquatics. So I'm thinking that we're going to start with the land animals. So what are your guys' picks for the top three kings of the Cretaceous for land?
All right, who starts? I guess I
You
might as
can
well.
start.
I'm the farthest left. All right, so my list actually, it took me quite a while. It took me a somewhat decent time to figure out what I want to do, but it's very simple. So right here, yeah, let me just lean it back. I have the cast of Sue the Tyrannosaurus's tooth. This is my first submission. This is the true, for good reason. This is the king. This is considered the tyrant lizard king. This tooth is approximately 5 inches long at the tip here. It is serrated on three sides, which is unheard of for theropod teeth. And also the root is about a solid foot long. These teeth were purely made for the ending of life. I mean, the highest bite force of any land animal known. It has it actually, I was doing some research. I pulled up a paper on do you want me to share my screen? I can show you guys this paper.
Go for it.
All right, sure. Let me get the paper up. So I was looking at this paper, which is called "The New Insights into the Brain Case, and the Ear Region of Tyrannosaurs," which has implications for the sensory region's organization behavior. So I did a quick read through this paper. It basically describes that the olfactory region on on Tyrannosaurus is actually quite large, even for a large theropod, which we assume had which by most accounts had very large olfactory regions. So these guys were hunting with a very powerful sense of smell, but also it was fun the what's it called? The ocular region of the brain was also considered very large. Let me see if I can find it. So basically, like they also had incredible eyesight. I believe the current thought on like visual acuity was approximately 12 miles with near perfect visualization. So approximately as good as an eagle, but an eagle that's 40 feet long and 12 feet tall. And also their speed, which while not very fast, approximately 12 miles an hour, is faster than any other animal in their environment that aside from ornithomimosaurs and dromaeosaurs. So essentially as perfectly adapted for a predator as you can get. Now my second pick was somewhat difficult. I thought about I don't want to just make it all like I don't want to just make it all like Maastrichtian. So it's just be like everything in the Hell Creek. So I thought Utah Raptor Austramazy, which is
Interesting pick.
currently the largest dromaeosaur that we have that first of all that we really know about. Even like the super scrappy stuff from like Uzbekistan, this still probably is larger than that. Approximately 24 feet long and 1,000 pounds. So the largest dromaeosaur that we have, and we know that they were probably ambush predators and potentially pack hunters, depending on what information comes out of the block. But we know they were at least they were potentially at least hunting gregariously. And for my third pick, I wanted to do a herbivore, but I didn't want to just do like a normal herbivore. So I decided I wanted to be Shantuncosaurus giganteus, the largest hadrosaur the largest ornithopod that we have ever discovered, and the largest of the hadrosaurs as well, the largest hadrosaur. It was approximately, I believe the current measures are about 58 feet long and 16 tons. So approximately twice as much as as the average for Tyrannosaurus.
Wow, I didn't even think of Hadrosaurus for the a list of a
Yeah,
king.
you never would. You would think like you would think large Sartopsian like Triceratops, and I'm like, no, Triceratops is very powerful, but no, Shintugosaurus is just huge. It's I believe in its Sinoceratops, which is the ceratopsian that it shares the formation with, it's approximately 4 times the size of. So
Wow.
if anything was fighting off the Jusang Tyrannus that it shared an environment with, it was Shantungosaurus with, I believe the tail is approximately 25 feet long and probably weighed about 4 or 5 tons. So it's like so it's like swinging around a 2x4 that weighs more than a freaking Ford F-150.
That's crazy. Trevor,
All
what are
right.
your picks?
Oh boy. Were we supposed to pick three?
Yeah.
Oh crap.
And we were supposed to see, I just showed up here. I kind of figured come up with it on the spot. So
Go for it.
okay, he already said T-Rex, so
You could also say T-Rex. It's fine.
nah, come on. Let's keep it interesting. Okay, what was extremely common in the Cretaceous?
Like
That's
Hadrosaur.
tricky. Yeah,
Hadrosaurs.
I'll go with Admonosaurus. It's a different sort
Okay.
of kid.
It's only approximately, I think it was like an eighth smaller than Shantungosaurus.
Mhm.
It's still like 12. It's still like, I believe the current estimate's about 12 tons. So still huge.
It's a very large animal.
Isn't it the largest hadrosaur in North America?
It is.
Okay.
Not, yeah,
Yeah.
notwithstanding, Corythosaurus is also, have you ever seen a skeletal mount of Corythosaurus? It's also like uncomfortably large.
Yeah.
It's funny. You always think ceratopsians are supposed to be like the large, beefy boys, and like hadrosaurs are like cow size, but no, it's the reverse. Most ceratopsians are quite small comparatively, and hadrosaurs are
Mhm.
just uncomfortably large.
Yeah. Well, my reason for choosing is just because it's so dang common.
Yeah.
I believe it is by far. I believe it is. Like half of all stuff that's found. Like I believe it's 25% of all that's found in the Hell Creek. The other,
Mhm.
but then again, half of what's found in the Hell Creek is also Triceratops.
Yeah. And then, oh boy, two more. Who's fought T-Rex and won?
Spinosaurus.
Spinosaurus.
Yeah.
I'm sure the comments are going to love that.
Yeah, I was going to have Spinosaurus on my list for the freshwater / semiaquatic.
Same, because we know it was hunting, and we know it was hunting in the water. We have
Oh,
proof of that
okay.
now. We actually have there's actually been isotropic analysis done on their teeth that showed they were definitely hunting in the
Yeah.
water columns.
Actually, maybe I should have saved that for semi-aquatic. Okay, who else
I
has
don't think
fought
there's
T-Rex?
anything wrong with double entries.
Yeah.
Who the hell
No,
cares?
I
Uh,
mean, if they're in both,
yeah.
Rules don't
Me
apply
crossing
here.
off my T-Rex in the sky.
There
Now,
we go.
if you
Let's
want to
get a
talk
real
about,
fight
hey,
going.
if you want to talk about gem show stuff, Nanotyrannus is where it's at.
Dakota Raptor is way more controversial than that, though.
Well, that's just a turtle rib. That's been proven. But actually, did you see that they're even disputing that he even has a toe claw as well? Like I believe
Uh,
the latest Dromaeosaur review also disputed that he had a toe claw. So it's like he has nothing. De Palma has
I
nothing
mean,
anymore.
Oh god, I should probably
it's pretty
say
clear that
that
there's
then.
something there.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a fairly sized Dromaeosaur in the Hell Creek. It's just it wasn't a Utah Raptor sized one.
See, when I was making my list, I was thinking like what would be at the highest trophic levels in their environments. And
Fair.
my number one pick was, obviously Tyrannosaurus Rex. As
Yeah.
boring and common as that is as of an answer, I mean that like you said before, Kevin, their bite force is extraordinary. And while there are larger theropods by length, I still think that Tyrannosaurus probably outbeats them in mass, definitely a mass to length. So I
Confirmed beats them in mass, by the way. It is Giganotosaurus's largest mass estimate puts it at approximately 7 tons, whereas Tyrannosaurus's largest estimate puts it at approximately 9.
mm,
Yeah, but Carcharodontosaurus,
I mean, they're
they,
all,
they don't.
to be fair, they're all
Yeah,
like the thing with large like megatheropods like that, they're all approximately the same size.
yeah,
yeah,
and
It's
but
like
other thing,
it's like
you
comparing
look at
truck
the
sizes.
skull,
There's just
right?
nothing.
It's clearly different in that its bite force was not the same as T-Rex.
No, it
yeah.
was hunted differently, but then
And
again, T-Rex.
I had Carcharodontosaurus and Giganotosaurus as my 2 and 3
Crap.
picks.
That's
Crap.
fair.
There you go.
If we're
Yeah.
going,
That's fine.
okay,
I wanted to try and vary it up, but I know
Okay.
I could have easily filled it with large theropods if I wanted.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're going Carcharodontosaurids, my second pick was Acrocanthosaurus.
Hey.
So I
Interesting.
mean, this dinosaur is
Sure.
like it's huge. I mean, because back in during the Campanian, Tyrannosaurs were not as common. They were quite rare and they were quite small. So back during in North America, during the Campanian, somewhere between what 75, 76 million years ago,
It's
Mhm.
about mid-Campanian.
the
Yeah,
Campanian.
I thought so, right? Yeah.
So like these dinosaurs were like quite common in some of these Cretaceous deposits in Utah, Maryland, Texas. I mean, we've got their footprints, we've got their teeth. I mean, and then if you look at if anyone's been to the North Carolina Science Museum, anywhere that I mean, the skull is absolutely mind
That's
blowing.
that's Fran, right? I believe that's Fran, the one
I
at
think
North
so.
Carolina.
Mhm.
It's
The one with
oh God,
pyrite
it's
disease.
Right, yeah.
yeah, the one that they currently have to lock up. They have to
Sickly.
keep it in an anoxic environment because otherwise it'll just disintegrate, which is God, that's so sad. Because that
Yeah.
that skull is gorgeous. It's the whole thing.
The
It's the
whole
whole
is
thing, and
gorgeous.
it's huge. But yeah, if you want to talk about like Acro's a good one because based upon the fossil material we found, they were a hell of a lot more they were a hell they were a hell of a lot more metropolitan than your or cosmopolitan than your Tyrannosaurus was.
Right.
Like we found them in Maryland. I mean, like as far north as Maryland and as far south as like Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's
We've
a
got one
huge
here in
That's got
spread
a
of
Tucson.
wide
land.
range. That's got a wide range.
That's the whole second half of the continent.
Yeah, and I think it's bigger than Seahawks.
Well, Seahawks is very, very scrappy, but
Yeah, it is
it's
quite
pointing at
scrappy.
it's I mean hell to the point where we're not even entirely sure if it's a Carcharodontosaurus or if it's a Megaraptorid or
Megaraptorid, yeah.
I even heard Tyrannosaur potentially being tossed around. We just need more of it.
Yeah, and another issue that we have with a lot of these Cretaceous megafauna is how scrappy the fossil records are in them, which is why, like we'll see, a lot of the taxa have been recently like greatly shrunk in size because we're doing these estimates off of very incomplete remains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
there's kind of an overblown reaction to feeling like there's it's surprising that these estimates are variable and that different tests being performed on different elements are going to come up with slightly different ideas. I think anytime someone's looking at these body length, body mass, you have to keep in mind that we're working with a very small sample size. So if we're looking at that top three that the other Ben was looking at earlier, your Tyrannosaurus, Carcharodontosaurus, and Giganotosaurus, one of those is known from, I wouldn't say a fantastic fossil record. I think it's kind of overblown. There are certain dinosaur species that we have hundreds of specimens of. T-Rex is a decent number. We're talking about 40 or 50. So that's a decent sample size with including the correct elements that you need to make those kinds of estimates. The femur is the really important thing. Carcharodontosaurus, we're talking one, maybe two described skeletons. Giganotosaurus is definitely a handful as well. Very small number. So, there's definitely don't bet your life on it, on any particular size or weight of any of these things.
Yeah. And what
Ironically,
would
the
your
most
pick
is built.
be?
I'm sorry. The most bet is on the ironically the most of the reconstruction is done from other Carcharodontosaurids in that case, like Mapusaurus and Meraxes, where we do have a fair amount of actual skeletons there, but it's just they're slightly different. So it's all just mostly reconstructions.
Yeah.
It scales up.
Yeah. When you get under the hood of this stuff, it's a lot more complex than I think
Oh yeah,
is
that it
given
gets given credit for.
Yeah.
What were your 3 picks, Ben?
Well, I wrote out 12 answers and then immediately threw that out because it was just, I'm like, these are the same 12 things that everybody else is going to come up with. So I'm going to try to be a little liberal with my definition of what kingly would mean, right?
Liberal.
And try to think of things that other people would not suggest just for sake of coming up with something interesting. So for the land, which is what we're talking about, if we're talking about kings on the land, the first thing I needed to mention is Basilames. Basilames means king turtle. And
Ooh.
it's a large terrestrial turtle. It's a tortoise-like turtle that we have in the Cretaceous. This is one of the critters that we find in the Menifee, which is where I do a lot of field work, the majority of the field work that I do these days. And it's in any paleo art that you see of places like the Kyparoids. Basilames are the big turtles that you see walking literally underfoot of all these large dinosaurs. They're herbivorous, which is really interesting. They're ecologically quite different from the other turtles that we find in these ecosystems, which are mostly carnivorous, fish eating. So Basilames, I wanted to give a shout out for. The second one on my list was Pachyrhinosaurus. If we're talking about a large armored herbivore that lives at the top of the world, that seems kind of kingly to me. So that was my second option. And then my third was Falcarius, because surely if you've ever seen Falcarius, it's one of only two therizinosaurids known from North America, and it's very basal on that family tree. So we're not talking about a large animal with big claws. It's very much in that transition from stock theropod, if you will, into this more specialized herbivorous, long neck, long tail, but the center of gravity is kind of shifting towards the hip, so it's got this very bizarre kind of posture to it. And I thought, this thing does not have Falcarius is in such an interesting kind of transitionary state that it's not dominant in any ecological role that I could think of. So clearly, given the fact that it existed at all and that we have hundreds of skeletons of this thing, it must be God's favorite. So Falcarius is my third king from the land in the Cretaceous.
God's chosen little turkey.
There's no other explanation for how this thing even existed and why it is one of the best known Cretaceous dinosaurs from North America, period, because of that preservation. So those are my three.
I agree with Ben honestly on that. Having talked to Dave Smith, we just spent we spent 2 hours while we were fossiling and just gushing about therizinosaurs. Yeah, Falcarius is a great little guy. I mean, it's like the current estimate I think he told me was approximately 200 specimens just in this bone bed in Utah, and it's just a weird. It's the perfect weird little king.
Yeah,
he's just doing nothing but being a terrible little turkey.
God's favorite. I have no other explanation.
God's chosen.
And
Yeah.
Joel, what are your picks?
Should I do all of them or just the land one?
Just the land ones.
Okay. So kind of like, so Ben, you work in the Menifee, right? I work in the Williams Fork Formation. So
awesome.
That's a Verde group. And I
Yeah.
think a lot about kind of freshwater, unloved, salamanders and things. So this was hard for me because when I think of the kings of the Cretaceous, my gut reaction was actually Mylodapus bipartitis. But I wanted to go with something cooler. And I had to take my mind out of Laramidia, and I have to go with Abelisaurids as the kings of the Cretaceous because they're on multiple continents. They basically span all of the Cretaceous, and they're pretty much the top predators by the very end of the Cretaceous. I don't know if I could pick one genus because I don't think we know the longevity of each one very well because they're known from a handful of specimens. But that's my pick for the king of the land in the Cretaceous are Abelisaurids. And I guess if I had to go with my favorite, I would say Rugops is my favorite. So
as a Chicago lad, my personal favorite is the long sausage Majungasaurus, where we have the little perfect skull and all the CT data that's just uploaded online for free.
Yeah, I worked at the Denver Museum this summer and they're in their CT lab, and there's just Majungasaurus bits everywhere. It's pretty wonderful.
You wouldn't download a Majungasaurus, would you? I would.
Yes, I would.
And I will do it again.
All right. So, is there any other land contenders that we have that we could think of before we start voting on which the top three are?
I mean, so many people have said Tyrannosaurus Rex, so I don't even think I need to even go.
I think we can agree that has to be on the list, but the rest of it I feel like we can shake up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking T-Rex would be our number one pick. What do we think would go to number two?
Smaller T-Rex.
I like Basilames.
I like the turtle. I do like the turtle.
Basilames is a good one.
Basilames is a good one.
I like Basilames. That's great.
fits the definition, I think, pretty well.
I
right,
like
we'll do
Abelisaurs for
the big land turtle for
universal for
number
their
2.
cosmopolitans. I like the Abelisaurs for their cosmopolitan nature. That's a good pick because you're right. A king should be everywhere.
So actually, I had a different something. What about that large frog from Madagascar?
Oh, Beelzebufo.
B.S.
They
Rufo.
shrunk those like crazy too in that
Did they really?
that Gayford et
Unfortunately,
al.
yes.
2024 paper.
They're still. I mean, to be fair, if you actually, they're as large as a giant African frog today, but that's also not really shaking it because giant African frogs are enormous.
Yeah.
Like here, let me see if I can get a photo.
I can share. I want to share real quick.
Yeah,
what
the giant
last
African
ones are.
bullfrog is still stupendously large.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah, that could have grabbed a dinosaur.
Well,
Small
we
one.
know they did. We know they were
Yeah.
at least hunting small like baby dinosaurs. That's not based. That's not just like based off vibes. We found
Here,
one
check.
like nearby, crushed to shit.
Ooh, I was
So
also
check
gonna
out.
say Titanoboa.
Ooh, well, oh wait, hang on.
Wait, is
That's
that
Neocene.
Cretaceous?
That's
That's
Paleocene.
So
Neocene.
this
Yeah,
this
sorry,
is a
yeah,
whole bunch of
Paleocene.
different things. This
Yeah.
is that Gayford et al. 2024 publication. So these are different size estimates compared with new potential sizes, and you can see like mosasaurs here. You can see Spinosaurus. We're going to be talking about a lot of these,
Really,
but
they shrunk
I'm seeing a
they
Dinosuchus?
lot
shrunk things
of
like
stuff that
crazy.
made my list.
I didn't know they shrank Dinosuchus. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
that
sure
actually
we'll talk
true?
about Deinosuchus in the freshwater.
We'll get to it. That's why
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
don't
here.
worry. Oh, don't worry.
I'm thinking that the next topic we'll go into, though, is going to be the sea.
All
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I have
this
enough
is
of
one
them
that
there.
Trevor can
Oh,
talk forever on.
Oh
oh
yeah.
no, but I'd like to
We'll talk
see
about
what
the
I'd like
lizards.
to see what the Mosasaur boys' opinions are on my one pick. Honest to
Trevor,
God.
You
that's
want to go
you.
first? Go ahead.
All right, I'll go. All
What
right, so
mosasaurs do you like?
my first pick was Cretoxyrhina of Mantelli, the Ginsu shark. Because
Hey,
if you
all
because
right.
first off, stupendous, a very large shark. Just I know, granted, compared to some of the other seaweed boys, probably not as impressive. But honestly, when you get a shark that large, it's gonna cause a lot of damage no matter what. My second pick was the king of the pliosaurs, Chronosaurus queenslandicus.
Here we go.
Yeah, but my third pick, my mosasaur, was Prognathodon saturador. Because
All right.
while Mosasaurus hoffmanni and Tylosaurus prograde are huge, Prognathodon's got that freaking beef of a skull that I imagine was just crushed. I mean, I was actually just reading up on this today where we found like crushed turtle shells with just holes in them from Prognathodon teeth.
Let me think. So Cretoxyrhina doesn't make it past the Campanian ball.
Yeah, but Cretoxyrhina is very long-lived. Like, I mean, as a
Yeah.
genus, they go back into the early Cretaceous, and it's arguably a chronospecies, depending on how you look at things like Acrolama.
That's so cool.
Hmm.
But
God, that's so
anyways,
cool.
one of the cool things about Cretoxyrhina is how fast it was. So Cretoxyrhina is believed to be a regional endotherm. So this allows it to be able to maintain higher body temperature levels when it's in colder environments. So these things were very widespread throughout the Cretaceous, and these things were fast. Like I think the Pharaon 2017 publication, they state that it's one of the fastest sharks of all time, basically. So you had this like around 26-foot long macropredatory lamniform. So it was a mackerel shark, and this thing we have evidence that it was eating dinosaurs, it was eating pterosaurs, it was eating mosasaurs. So it was eating basically everything. It had scales that were somewhat resembling what we see in mako sharks, and they had also, I believe, the largest Cobb's angle of any known shark, which is basically the angle of the vertebrae tilting upwards towards the caudal fin. So that's also indicative of a very fast animal. And yeah, this thing was eating basically everything. They've reached around 8 meters. I've personally witnessed a 3 1/8 around inch long tooth getting pulled out of the Niobrara from Cretoxyrhina.
Oh man.
That is an 8-meter shark. Holy.
Yeah, so
Well,
those things were big. I didn't personally pick that on my list, but I do like some shark representation.
don't worry, I got you. I got you covered, homie.
If I
I
was
didn't
going
know
to
about
choose
the
a
regional
shark,
endothermy. So cool. That another regional endotherm is one of its closest relatives, the great white shark.
Yeah. But anyways, Trevor, what were you going to
yeah.
say about Prognathodon?
Okay, first off, the pronunciation. I have no clue how to pronounce a species. Saturator?
I always
So,
said
yeah,
saturator, but who
saturate.
knows?
I know both of those are wrong. They just had the Mosasaur meeting, and all the Dutchmen were saying, "Oh, it's got a bunch of H's in there."
Here's the secret for species
Yeah.
and genus name pronunciations. There's
Hmm.
no right answer. Go with whatever sounds coolest or whatever's going to piss people off the most.
Well, in that case, I'll just go with Longrich's, what he calls Prognathodon, which is Thalassotitan, which is that's the Moroccan equivalent to the Dutch Prognathodon saturator.
Yeah, that was on my first list. Was the last Titan.
Makes sense.
Which just because that thing was everywhere. You walk around in the Moroccan phosphates 5 minutes, you find a tooth. I give it the nickname the gift shop mosasaur. Just you go to a gift shop, you're gonna find it. But kind of building off what Kevin said, yeah, it's got big, massive jaws, just built for crushing. Yeah, so that's one of my picks. Hoffmanni is mandatory, Mosasaurus.
That's on mine as well.
It's
That's on
so
my
big.
list.
It's not
It's
fair.
Yeah, they've got a lot of elements, really partial elements, unfortunately, but like just quadrates and dentaries that indicate it probably got a lot bigger than the current.
I've heard the tales of the secret stupendous ones
Hmm.
that people don't like to talk about very much because it's still being worked on.
Well, my big question is who's working on it?
That's what I want to know too.
They keep saying, "Oh, it's being worked on." I know most of the Mosasaur researchers. None of them are working on it.
Hang on,
Yeah.
worked on.
Yeah, I mean, I just know it's kind of like, oh, it's in which one was it? I can't pronounce the museum's name. NMM, the one of the Netherlands.
Yeah,
Nestor Horiich,
well, it's funny because
whatever.
I just want to know it's being worked on. I don't want that to languish for 30 years. I don't want to see one of those. I'd like it to be described.
Yeah, you see, I know there's a couple people that have gone and seen it, but everybody's like, nah, no, I'm working on this instead. Oh, I saw it. It's cool. It's big. It indicates that it would have been bigger. Yeah, but I'm working on this project instead.
I know a couple people like that.
So Trevor, I had on my list Mosasaurus hoffmanni for number one, but I also had a Tylosaurus prorigor on there. So what are your thoughts on those? Do you think those belong or not?
Uh, so functional, what's the difference between Hoffmanni and Proriger?
Really not much, which is why I chose
it's
both.
the snout. It's that honking schnoz that Tylosaurus
Yeah,
has
but
got.
was it using the snout for ramming, or is it just like a sensory
Apparently,
tool?
was it somehow moving its brain case back, like reloading,
Yeah.
like a pump
See, well,
action shotgun?
on a previous Gentleman of the Corax episode, we had Jared Cook on, and he was talking about that, bulbous snout of Tylosaurus, and with the possibility of it being able to ram its prey. We had that actually shooting out against Mosasaurus hoffmanni in the Marine March Madness, and we wound up choosing Tylosaurus because of that. But I mean, it was like a very slight edge, and it was a long conversation debating on that. So I figured I couldn't choose. I couldn't choose between Mosasaurus and Tylosaurus, so I just chose both.
And to be fair, if you want to talk about like actual proper specimens, Bunker, as far as large mosasaurs go, is the king. It's Bunker, and that's it.
Bunker's
Is there?
you see, Bunker's highly. I mean, it's got the frontal, right?
Bunker's huge.
It's huge, but it's very heavily eroded too.
Fight.
It was a curse you, geologist!
Yeah.
You ruin our specimen again.
There is a Tylosaurus specimen, like a dentary out there that would have been larger than Bunker. So, and depending on your estimate, Bunker, I don't know. On the low end is 10 meters. On the high end is probably 13, 14 meters.
Well, the reconstruction that hangs above everybody's head at KU is 47 feet long.
Yeah, that's too big.
Damn. All right, I'll take.
So my third
But
pick,
not by much. Not by much.
It could be
Okay,
worse. It
same
could be
time.
like the. It could be like the Chronosaurus at what's it at Harvard. That's 43 feet long, but that's because it's got 10 extra vertebrae.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say was my third pick is gonna be another shark, but it's not something I think that a lot of people are familiar with, which is Cretotus crassidens. So you find these are basically the broadest formed Cretotus teeth, which is another mackerel shark, but they've done size estimates on these, and they're known from fairly articulated remains from this recent Amalfitano et al. 2022 publication. They estimated that this thing could have reached over 1,100 centimeters, which is 37 feet in length. And
Jesus
this
Christ!
this had a larger, broader mouth than Cretoxyrhina did. It had these massive, thick teeth with these, big old cusplets that traditional
What the
lamniform
hell
teeth
are these
behind.
teeth?
And so it wasn't as fast swimming of a shark as Cretoxyrhina was, but I mean, like you're comparing a 26-foot shark to a 37-foot shark. I'm choosing Cretotus. It basically think of it as an offshore Cretaceous age hypersized tiger shark as far as its ecology. And plus they were long ranging too. I mean, they described in that publication teeth from the Cenomanian and Turonian. However, I've seen some teeth from the southeast of the US that are possibly pushing Santonian in age with Cretotus crassidens, which would be a really long span for a species. And yeah, I think it's got a stouter body than Cretoxyrhina too. So this thing was just built for power.
Okay, if we're gonna go down the fish lane, we've got to talk about our boy Siphacinus.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
That's
All
got to
right.
be
I should have put
It's
him
the
on the
first
list.
on my list.
That's fair. I mean, literally just the trapdoor, just a trapdoor of an animal.
I mean, and
If you
we've
want
got
to talk
some
about
great
Tucson,
skeletons.
they frequently have holes of actinus just you can get your hands.
Sure do.
About 3 years ago, I went into a guy's basement who does a lot of digging along in the Smoky Hill Chalk area, and on his wall is a 15-foot long complete Siphacinus.
That's my dream. That's literally my dream.
I mean, we're talking about a thing that's got these dagger-shaped teeth. I mean, a body that's around 14 to 15 feet in length. Could have possibly gotten bigger.
I believe the largest estimate is about 23 feet.
23 feet? Yeah.
Yeah, so good God. It's like it's like someone took a tarpon and just gave it the mouth of a trapdoor.
I was a bit terrified for you when that story started with, I went into this guy's basement once. But yeah, Ziphacinus, or again, if you want to be obnoxious, Ziphictinus. There's no correct or wrong way to say it.
I prefer G factinus.
Hifactinus. Yeah, so a big predator, obviously, but I put it on my list because again, the criterion was kingly, and there's nothing that when I think of a king, I think about the king's disease, gout, right? Just total gluttony. And Ziphacinus is unquestionably the biggest glutton in the Cretaceous seas because of so many specimens found with just a little bit too big of a fish halfway in and halfway out of their mouth.
What's the name of that English king that died from eating too many lampreys?
All of them.
Are we sure he wasn't as Ziphacinus? Because that's what happens, and then they frequently just all of them just ate too much and died.
I mean, it's also a good wide range too, because we've got Ziphacinus fossils down here in South Georgia. There's stuff in Alabama, Kansas.
Or in South America.
South America.
They were
North
just
all the way to South
everywhere.
Dakota.
I think Ziphacinus could definitely fit in. They're one of the largest predatory bony fish, I believe, of all time as well.
Yeah, I think is Rhizodus bony? I can't remember.
Yeah, Rhizodus is bony as well.
So it would be like Rhizodus, Ziphacinus. I know it's definitely not the largest bony fish because we obviously have man Lezichthyes.
I was gonna say we have Lezichthyes too. So, which I mean, all the phytoplankton.
Technically speaking, that is technically predatory. They are hunting those krill.
Yeah. That was Cretaceous too, right?
I'm one of the no
Yeah.
Jurassic.
No,
That's like
Jurassic.
Jurassic.
That's a Jurassic.
I
Yeah.
am one of the Krilly.
So what were you guys' other picks?
Yeah, Ben, you wanna? Was that your number one? Or did you
Sure.
have any more?
That was
I have my
Zactinus was my number one. I'll go last because my picks are obnoxious.
Joel, you have any others?
I was gonna say the ichthyodectid family, because behind me are tons and tons of fossils from the Sharon Springs member of the Pierre, from Wyoming, and like most of what you find is Ichthyodectes proper, and obviously these things have a global distribution. So yeah, I guess you can throw that into Xiphactinus too. And actually, I wanted to ask, Trevor, have you been to the CU Museum before?
The which museum?
The University of Colorado Museum?
No, I haven't.
We have a lot of mosasaurs. So
Oh boy. Where is that located?
this is in Boulder, Colorado.
Ooh, there's a lot of cool stuff in
I'll
Boulder.
have to make my way out there.
Yeah,
the web-
it's mostly
Pure shale?
pure shale. Yeah, it's really
Mm.
gypsum laden, but we have a lot of that. And if anybody works on turtles, we have like Toxichellis at the wazoo. So
Oh,
give us a
my.
visit.
It's Toxichelli's all. You should, Joel. You should do like that when you're talking about. You should just like do that. That like Will Smith gesturing meme, like when he's like kneeling down and he's like got his both arms out. You just gesturing at all the material you got behind you.
I'll have to take a picture with that because like it's in our drawers. Like it's anytime you get this vague like comb shape making its way out of the gypsum crystals, you're like, oh god, it's another one.
Joel, do you have any elasmosaur material that have been
We
found?
do. Yeah, we have some Styxosaurus material. I just boxed up a Styxosaurus flipper.
Ooh.
We have a bit of Trinicomerum. We had a polycolod. How do you say?
Polycotylid.
Yeah, the
Polycotylid.
the not pliosaurs. We have a
Yeah.
lot of them. We have the holotype of a new one in the room next to me there, which is some.
Quick, move the camera.
Please,
Please, I want to see it so bad.
You know what's behind me in that
What?
room? Gojirosaurus.
Ah,
Really?
Yeah, that's
No way. Joel, I need you to defend that with your life. People are trying to take that away. We
Well-
have to keep Gojirosaurus.
I came out of Andy Heckert's lab, and I don't know his opinion on it. He's a Triassic guy. He worked at the New Mexico Museum. So yeah, we have quite an interesting assemblage of stuff that needs more work. Ken Carpenter worked on it a bit in the like early 2000s and 90s. We have
what's the coolest mosasaur you got?
most of what we have is, of course, Platycarpus and Clydastes because it's the
Oh,
Yeah.
However,
that is good.
we have a like gigantic jaw from the Fox Hills sandstone of probably Mosasaurus proper. And it's very large. And obviously the Fox Hills is a little scrappy for stuff. So I think that's kind of the coolest because it's from a gigantic specimen. But
Was that the one that was described in 2014? That jaw?
hmm,
I'll say it was Harrow and something.
I don't think so. If you want to come work on it, please, I'll give you Jacob's contact. He's coming back from Japan. So yeah, we have a lot of that stuff, and we do have a lot of bony fish material. We do have a lot of sharks, and I don't work on mackerel sharks, but this could be a great field trip for this podcast if you want to come look at our mackerel sharks here. So
I'm sneaking in Blahaj.
Yeah,
Blahaj is entering the chat.
I'm currently working describing a mackerel shark from the late Cretaceous of Alabama. That's
very cool.
we're describing we're describing a stratolomnid. So
Very
yeah, that it'll be really cool. I love the shapes of those teeth with the with those lateral cusplets are really cool. But yeah, so
that's
I'll keep
exciting.
you guys updated when that comes out.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, I'm working on Chase with that one. But yeah, so do we have any other picks for
Okay,
Where is Chase? He's
Chase?
too good for
thinks
us.
in a cave.
Oh, fine.
I was gonna bring up some of the
Here's the wording.
elasmosaurids. Like I said, some of the elasmosaurids got quite big, like Styxosaurus.
Damn, mosasaur food.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, yeah, they are quite
Shark
thin.
food, too.
When
Yeah,
you have
shark
when you
food,
have a
too.
neck that's approximately 25 feet long, there's not much you can do to defend it.
yeah, because I like some of those sharks were feeding on some of those large elasmosaurs. Scratch that.
We have Cretaceous. I believe it's
Sorry,
Cretaceous
Cam.
rhinoceros that are just buried like into the vertebrae.
I'm thinking more in regards to size because I mean some of these things would have gotten quite
Oh,
large.
stupid! Like Elasmosaurus, it's like, oh yeah, Elasmosaurus and Stichosaurus are like huge, like
Massive.
pushing 40.
So you're saying elasmosaurids. Did you have any other picks? And Joel, did you have any others, or yours covered too?
I've got to defend Xiphactinus.
Yeah.
You know, I'm cool with swapping out like either I'm cool with probably swapping out Cratoxy for Xiphactinus.
And Ben, you said that you had two obnoxious ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we touched on it earlier. Inoceremus, if we're talking about just large organisms, and all of my picks are very Western interior centered because that's where my hands-on experience comes from. You work anywhere in the Western interior, Inoceremus are not just an important invertebrate, but they can also get very, very large. So there's hands off to go grab something. I'm very excited to see what that is. My obnoxious answer is that anyone who works in marine or any kind of aquatic habitat knows that the most important determinant of all of the ecology is going to be your oxygen saturation. So my other king of the sea, king of the sea, anoxia. If you don't have any oxygen, which happens pretty frequently in poorly circulated bodies of water like the Western interior, all of these other animals, it doesn't matter. They're all dead.
My
They're
fourth
all
king's an
dead.
asteroid.
I was
We're
about to
getting
say,
ahead of
actually,
my
in
answers through
actuality-
the air.
I've got that bad boy right there.
There we go.
Oh, look at that. It's gorgeous.
This is
That's a
from
pretty one.
This is from the Duck Creek Formation in North Texas,
Duck Creek.
Oklahoma, Texas borderline.
I love we all, you know what's fun? All of these animals, they can fight each other as much as they want. They will all lose to anoxic. They will all lose to the anoxic condition.
I'm
Yes,
so
sir.
glad. I'm more of an invertebrate specialist, so I'm kind of glad you brought up like the inoceramids because those things are massive.
Yeah,
I
they get
got you.
super
I got you.
huge, right? They're like
Yeah,
couple, like a few feet across, right?
yeah.
I want to change mine to Baculites now.
Hey,
Hey, yes.
I was thinking about Baculites, also an important index fossil, and also just kind of a funny name.
that's why I say baculites. I just it's we're going back third time we've been down this tangent.
So what are we thinking that the top three out of everything that we've discussed?
All right,
I'm thinking
like
we
we gotta
have
pick
to
a
have
mosasaur.
Mosasaurus, Hoffman.
We gotta at
Hoffman,
least.
Think of Mosasaurus.
I think Hoffman. Okay, fine. Hoffman's
needs it.
mosasaur is too big to not put on there. I
It
just want to
it
see
just
what my
needs to
thoughts
be
of
there.
Prague.
It was the first fossil that was described.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a
Plus,
really good point. That I'll give you that.
Mhm.
Fair.
Stolen
Yeah.
by
Go
Napoleon.
big or go home.
You know,
you know?
yeah, it's Cuvier's what do you call it? The grand animal of Maastricht.
It's the literal it's the literal ancestor of paleontology.
The holotype, it was fought over and seized by Napoleon's armies. That's how important it was.
Yeah.
Napoleon saw that lizard and he
Yeah.
went, "I will have that, please."
And
yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
okay.
fight for Crototus crassidens at number 2. Because that
Yeah,
was
40
the
feet of shark
giant-
that's impressive. I gotta admit that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna fight for that if anyone disagrees on it.
I think we
Agree
all
on-
agree that Xiphactinus has to be on there.
I
Otherwise,
think we can
fine
do
with
we can do
anything else.
Crototus.
I'll let
and-
I'll let
let's do Crototus and
Xiphactinus
Ziff.
on if we keep Crototus.
All right, so Crototus and Ziff. We're
Fair
going
enough. Fair enough.
I would have said
Hoffman's
Dinosaurus.
mosasaur, Crototus, and Ziff.
Yeah.
All right, I
think
can
that's
agree with
fair.
that list.
Hoffman's most that's because
Farewell
everybody saw
farewell to
prehistoric
the all Pleiosauridae.
Rip all of my invertebrate friends.
POV, you have been found. You have been found
All right.
by a globidins.
Water segment's done. I'm going.
All right.
Alright, so our next segment is going to be air.
All right. I got to start with this one.
Alright, go for it.
Alright.
Quetzalcoatlus. Hands
Yep.
down.
All right. I think we're done. We all. I think.
Mhm.
But that's it.
Aztec
There's
god.
okay. Hang on. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if Quetzalcoatlus is number one on your list.
Yeah.
It's number one on my list.
Yeah.
Put the
There we go.
Moroccan equivalent.
I mean, not all members of the Astarchic family were big, but some of them were, like Hexigopteryx,
Atzigopteryx,
mean-
Thanatos-Dracon, Cryodracon,
Cryodracon.
Aranborgiania.
Navajo dactylus.
Thank you for pronouncing
Yeah.
it. That was on my list, although I didn't want to say it because like, oh,
It's fine. It's Scott. You want to talk about a difficult name to pronounce? Look at Astarchidae.
I
Yeah.
mean, aren't there some like fragmentary specimens in Montana? Some S-Darkid specimens in Montana?
Yes, it's the Hell Creek yeah, it's currently only known as the Hell Creek as Darkid, but
Okay.
it's huge. It's either something new or it's a scrappy specimen of Quetzalcoatlus, because you want to talk about the cool thing about as Darkids? They were large enough that it's currently being theorized they could access jet streams, which means that means a global distribution. That means they could go anywhere they wanted.
And we've got footprints from them. We know
Yes.
that these animals walked on land.
Oh.
We've got tracks from them.
Oh yeah, here comes the
So
yeah. So
Here's the
I believe the
resizing of
current
these things.
but I believe this, but it's ironic how like Quetzalcoatlus has only shrunk slightly. It's still known. It's probably
it's
like
still,
Quetzalcoatlus and
yeah.
Hatzegopteryx and Quetzalcoatlus were probably much like large theropods, were probably about the same size, but they were probably about 35, 36 feet long a wingspan, probably about 600 pounds, and as tall as a giraffe.
Yeah, and the
Like if
the
anybody's been
problem
to
with
my
these.
favorite place, the Field Museum has they have the standing mile that they just put in. It's oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the problem with these giant pterosaurs is how fragmentary their remains are as well.
That's fair. But I
Well, the
mean,
good thing is that we have Quetzalcoatlus. What's the other smaller species? Oh my god, why am I forgetting the name? Crap. We have the other species that's much smaller, about half the size, but we have complete specimens of that.
yeah, they're based on fragmentary remains. But I mean, just look at a single wing bone about the size of a human
It's as thick
arm.
as my arm.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And even if they got shrunk dramatically, it's not like there really is anything that would be as large or larger that they would have competed, at least for this list of kings of the Cretaceous.
No,
Unless if we
okay,
start
there it
talking
is.
about like early birds for their significance.
All right. Hey, I found the picture. Let me share my screen real quick. So just for reference for your audience, Ben, you know how tall I am, but I am 6'0". I am 6'0".
Field Museum.
Wow.
Yep, my favorite place on earth. I am 6'0". That thing is 3 times my height.
I'm dead. Rip.
I call it the flying lizard giraffe with a sedan for a beak.
I have heard theories that I've read a few papers about how they would fly. A lot of people suggest that they were more, ground-based animals rather than more of a flying creature. Does anybody
I've heard
have
it variable because
They were fine.
it's both. Like they were definitely terrestrial hunting, but they were almost certainly hunting like they were probably ranging thousands of feet above above the tree line, just hunting for stuff on the ground, and then they would just zip out like a peregrine falcon and just tackle it to the ground.
Yeah.
It's literally like orbital dropping. They were orbital dropping on their prey.
So I mean, like I've seen a few like biomechanical models of how it basically be like a giant push up in front of the lift off of the ground and then like leap off of something and then fly.
Yeah, it's like they literally had the arm strength to just push themselves off and and immediately enter a long range flight path just off the ground, which is unbelievably unheard, which is incredible for any pterosaur.
And I've seen pterosaur fossils. I mean, they're some of their, some of the pterodactyloid are like they're paper thin.
Millimeter thick. That they've got paper thin bones. Like anytime I'm in like a collection, I'm terrified to even go near pterosaur bones because I'm scared I'll breathe on it wrong and it'll break.
How much is that due to the actual animal versus the the compression due to the fossilization process?
I've heard it said as both, but I know that because of flight mechanics, their bones had to be incredibly thick, or sorry, incredibly thin. Why did I say thin? Super super thin. Like I know pteranodon specimens out of the Niobrara, even flattened as they are, the current thought is like they were maybe only 2 or 3 millimeters thick on the wing bones, and those are like the thickest bones on their body.
And isn't pteranodon like one of the largest
Yeah,
pterodactyls?
it's
Is
the
that North
it's the
America?
largest non-Asdarkid pterosaur.
Yeah,
Or sorry, no, it's not. That's Tropiognathus, isn't it?
I think pteranodon's got to be on that list too.
Oh, it is. It's second. It's second only just behind Tropiognathus. But it's huge. Like the largest pteranodon specimen's got like a 26-foot wingspan.
So what are we thinking in order for these things?
It's
Like
either
top
it's so the
three.
question is it Kets or Hats that we want to put in the top?
What?
Yeah.
Gets
The
My
name.
man, my man.
Did anyone
Hypogotrix
have
is
anything that
cool.
differed from a pterosaur though on this
I was
list?
gonna
No.
say mosquitoes.
Sure.
ground.
You know what? I agree with that. That's great. We know they were there. Jurassic Park hasn't lied to us.
They would never. Brr.
What's killing all the pterosaurs? The ground, gravity.
Literally, like it's funny. I was discussing this with some people about like the famous the Quetzalcoatlus versus T-Rex scene in Prehistoric Planet, and people were like, "Oh, it's Tyrannosaurus would never be threatened." I'm like, "Well, here's the thing: Tyrannosaurus does not know that if it literally, it could probably make like a medium strength snort out of its nose and break and like do like a smash like a smash ultimate like blast it like final hit blasting off the screen hit to this pterosaur. So it is confronted with this animal that is taller than it, releasing these horrible honking sounds with this gigantic lance for a face. It's thinking like, you know what? I'll just come back. So it's because I saw this video online of it was three seagulls that scared a polar bear off a carcass. And a seagull is like the size it's like half the size of a polar bear's paw. And a Quetzalcoatlus is taller than the T-Rex. So it's like no question could a Quetzalcoatlus just like bother and scare a fucking T-Rex off a carcass. I mean, would it fight it? No, because the T-Rex could literally breathe on it and it would die.
I think ornithochirids are cooler than as
Oh,
I
Yeah,
think
those are
okay.
cool. Those are
I
cool.
think
Those are
they're
cool.
cooler
Tripping
looking, and they're
Nathan
very
is very
successful,
cool.
and they're found all over the world.
You got
so.
things like
And they got these
Cryorhynchus.
their mouths are so cool. They got these interlocking teeth.
They got these crests on
These really cool crests.
Oh
And they
man.
got the best soundtrack during the Walking with Dinosaurs episode.
Don't
Oh
do
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god,
it's
Giant
true.
of the Skies, Giant of the Sky.
Yes.
So what other non-pterosaurs do we have before we vote?
I had a
Looking at
pterosaur.
my
I put in Tapejara just because I'm a
That's a
sucker
good
for
one.
really cool
Yeah.
crests.
That's a good one.
Of course, Walking with
although-
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Got to.
I
Tapejara is
can't
great.
deny that definitely is like
Archaeopteryx.
That's Jurassic.
Jurassic.
Yeah. My
Oh.
other two
You
answers.
see, I didn't practice for this. I'm just thinking, oh, what's a dinosaur?
My other two answers were again, determinant of all ecologies globally from the eye, from the sky, carbon dioxide. And then if we're thinking about something that could have accessed the highest realms of the atmosphere, nothing surely could have beaten the Chicxulub victims getting blasted into
yes.
space.
I was gonna say that.
POV, Big Rock.
I was gonna say meteor strike.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, yeah, the king of the Cretaceous guys really is the Chicxulub.
Excluded pass.
Tektites,
Literally
maybe.
literally exposing the mantle to the earth for the to the surface for the first time in the history of the earth.
So, one of those sturgeons that was just going in the wave.
Yeah. Although I
Rest in peace.
suppose we would then have to prove that the Chicxulub impactor is not a pterosaur.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
no, it's literally it's orbital drop theory. Just a
One of them hit in just the wrong place.
he found the shatter point of the earth and it's in Mexico.
Yeah, that's basically kind of like the destroyer of everything. I mean,
Cool, it
talk
did.
about some skies. Yeah, that Chicxulub destroyed everything.
The poor small Corax that wound up riding
it
those
had the higher
waves
KD
after
than
crash.
Thanos.
It was just like that.
It was
All right,
literally like that.
so let's vote on our three for air. I think Quetz we got for number 1. What are we doing for number 2 and number 3?
Big Space Rock for number 2.
I'm with that, honestly. Let's do
But
let's do
that would be
because-
just number 1 for all of these, though.
no, but hang on, it's sky.
Except for
it did
mosquitoes.
come from
Mosquitoes
the heavens.
Eat space
We're-
rock.
Yeah.
In the cosmic rock paper scissors mosquito Pete's meteor.
So I guess we could say mosquitoes would be number 1.
I do quite like that, honestly. Sure. But I'd like to make it more interesting because otherwise it would just be it's gonna be all it's dark is.
I was thinking about the Scanteropterids, but those are Jurassic.
I thought those are oh, the Scansoriopterygids are Triassic.
I think they're Jurassic. I think it's
I
like
think
they?
they
I
make
can't
they
remember.
make it into early Cretaceous.
Do they? They actually make it
Yeah.
that far?
I think
Really?
Those are freaky. Those are freaky, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because I've never seen anything like that before.
No, it's so weird. Also, potentially like oh my god, there's some phylogenetic research being done on them that's gonna. I'm
Oh
hoping
yeah,
it's
they
gonna
they
reveal
don't make
some
it in the
crazy
Cretaceous.
stuff.
Sorry, that's my bad.
Damn, they don't make it that.
So they're
Damn.
only restricted in the Jurassic.
No, they're Triassic, I thought as well.
They
Right?
just haven't found one in the Cretaceous. I'm sure they made it, but
We made it one day.
So
one of
we
these
have
days.
Quetz and Mosquito. What's gonna be our third one?
Can we please do Space Rock for the meme?
If everyone else wants Space Rock, we can do that.
I mean,
Sure.
my thing. What other large organisms were in the Cretaceous in the skies besides?
Well, it was
pterosaurs?
literally
I was leaning
as far
just
as we're aware, it's
pterosaurs.
just pterosaurs.
Yeah.
That's all we got. Like
there's
birds,
some
birds are coming
tracks
up.
of very large birds in the Raton Basin of New Mexico.
They are there, but it's
Like
nothing
wake
like it's
birds.
but even as large as they are, it's not a patch on like even your average pterosaur in the Cretaceous
Sure,
is
yeah.
probably still larger.
I think generally the large Cretaceous birds are going to be ground dwelling or aquatic.
Yeah,
right?
like
Right.
Hesperornitforms, right? Or like that. Unfortunately, the poor honestly, Hesperornitforms could potentially make the list because somehow we got birds literally surviving in the worst sea environment that's ever been known to
Wait,
man.
could those fly?
No, I definitely know Hesperornis can't fly.
That would probably
I
be
know
more
there's
of
that one like
semi-aquatic.
the duck the Stigonetta, the duck of hell, I think can fly.
All right, so we have Quetz, we have Mosquito, and Space Rock.
Yes, let's
So,
do
all right,
it.
so that'll bring us to I believe our last group. We have the freshwater / freshwater semi-aquatics.
Ooh, okay. Oh, I'm
Those
so
all
ready.
be good. Spinosaurus.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, Spinosaurus is my number
Okay.
one.
That's my number one is Spinosaurus. My second is the king of the alligators, Deinosuchus hatsuri.
I was gonna Dinosuchus is number one. I mean,
That's fine.
dinosaurs.
Yeah, Spinosaurus is so
Is
big.
I
It
was about to
is.
Spinosaurus. The one thing that has not changed about Spinosaurus is its size. If anything, it's actually bigger than we thought. Like pushing 50 feet in length. Granted, a lot of that was swimmy tail, but
And
still,
plus,
like 15
Spinosaurids as a
tons.
whole are a really big mark on dinosaur evolution. They're filling in a niche that I don't believe dinosaurs have ever filled in before.
Well also somehow we have megalosaurs that decided the best course of action was to get real long telescope snouts and enter the water.
Yeah,
And also it's like
I have
weird because
Spinosaurus at number one, and I was debating on another Spinosaurid for number two. I was thinking either Baryonyx or Suchomimus.
I
Suchomimus is pretty big.
Baryonyx, because Baryonyx we know was a deep water dweller. We know they were diving deep.
Yeah,
Whereas
so that's
Suchomimus
why
we
I
know
was-
was hunting at the hunting at the riverbank.
Yeah,
We
so I was
we know
leaning.
from histology they weren't going in the water very much.
Claws on these things.
Show and tell.
Oh God,
Is that a
yeah.
claw?
Wild, yeah.
Is that a berry?
Yeah, it's a berry.
Dude, what do I got?
And Baryonyx is a smaller Spinosaurid, and the size of that claw is unbelievable.
Yeah. See, I was thinking Baryonyx because it was more aquatic,
Yes.
but I believe Suchomimus got slightly bigger.
Oh, not slightly. It's about a third larger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Baryonyx's max size is about 25, whereas Suchomimus is anywhere from about 30 to
Or like
35.
35 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge one.
It's a big
Mm.
animal, but in that
was known to be
ecosystem,
hunting. Also was known to be a hunting terrestrial predator as well. It was probably hunting like Ouranosaurs around the area.
I'm away from my main collection, but I do have this with me. Suchomimus.
Everybody,
tooth.
that's a
That's a Suchomimus.
wow. That's so pretty. That knocks out my
nice.
Spinosaur tooth. It's about the same size as that one, but it's
Yeah,
so much
it's like
more
I
rough.
have Spinosaurus teeth from Morocco.
Yeah.
Everybody's got those. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it, dude. It's just they're so cool to have. They're
Yeah.
so cool that it's so cool that everybody could have those.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's cool.
Deinosuchus, like no joke. Like I know it's got knocked down from the 45-foot monster that it used to be, but 33 feet is still pretty large for a crocodilian. And the one thing that has not changed is the size of the skulls, which were like I've seen them 6 feet of alligator, and we know we have proof from bones from holes left in hadrosaur bones that they were hunting. They were hunting hadrosaurs, which is, oh my God, that's so cool.
I think there was a specimen found in North Carolina that they found like a theropod foot bone, and it was like almost like a chew toy to this
Yeah.
day.
Which the theropod thought he was the king. He was wrong.
Hmm.
And
I could
also,
opine on
they were
Deinosuchus
so
for a little bit.
cosmopolitan. They were everywhere.
Yeah, tell us about Deinosuchus.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, please, Ben. I know you
So-
work on them.
I do. I actually have a 3D print. Where's my camera? Right there. So this is, let me see if I could, I'm doing the beauty YouTuber thing
It
and it's
looks
not
like-
working.
It looks like a sponge.
It could be, yeah. This is what I used to put on my my blush every day. 3D print of a Deinosuchus osteoderm I picked up in the field earlier this year. We're talking about an animal in a freshwater ecosystem. In, I would say specifically Laramidia, there are, okay, the taxonomy of Deinosuchus is really complicated. On the books there are 3, but effectively there's really only 2. Deinosuchus hatcheri is kind of indiagnosable. It's only known from 1 specimen.
Oh,
Rugosus
whereas
is
we
not
have-
known, right?
Sorry?
I think
No, they
Rugosus-
sunk Rugosus.
they sunk.
did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was the one that died.
I think that's
Yeah,
Schwimmerei.
Rugosus is no Schwimmerei. And it's really fun telling friends and family outside of paleontology about David Schwimmer. And I have to tell them, no, this is not the actor from Friends. I'm not old enough to have seen that when it came out.
Get a load of this guy.
But he reviewed my Deinosuchus paper and he had very nice things to say. So
David Schwimmer the actor or David Schwimmer the paleontologist?
I'm gonna leave that up to your imagination. But yeah, regardless of what the maximum body size would be, there are no described complete specimens of the animal. There is an incomplete one, juvenile from the Kaiparowitz, that has not been described yet. Its only crime was being preserved in a quarry full of largely complete tyrannosaurs. So that was obviously what was focused
Damn you,
on first.
Tyrannophonius.
Yeah. So I would just generally caution. I mean, the same thing I said earlier. It's not really worth putting too much weight onto a particular size estimate. Animals vary in size, especially throughout their life. But Deinosuchus is undoubtedly, at the very least in the Menifee, and everywhere else that it appears, definitely the largest specifically semi-aquatic predator that we find. Crocodilians, especially the alligatoroids, of which Deinosuchus is a basal member, are ambush predators, and everything needs to drink. So I have no doubt in my mind that they would have been eating pretty much anything else that they could find in their ecosystem. That would include the turtles. There's a huge turtle fauna in Laramidia and in the Menifee, and they're definitely, go look up if you have a good stomach.
Oh my
Go
God,
look
that
up.
video of the alligator crushing the turtle.
That's the one. They kind of they seem to toss it back and forth in the mouth, left to
And
right.
then
It's kind of
just-
like crunch, 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 and then eventually they get it at a weak angle, and it
your
sounds like
200 years of evolution is useless compared to crunch.
it sounds like if you're trying to give yourself an audio experience, it sounds like plywood until it gets crushed, and then it's just kind of like a water balloon popping.
Yeah, it's like
gruesome.
it's like bending a tree branch until you hit that snap point, and then it's like a water balloon.
And then you're done. So turtles are on the menu. Fish is definitely on the menu. There are other invertebrates that especially younger Deinosuchus would have been feeding on. And there is fossil evidence of dinosaur bones that have been chewed on by a large crocodilian, now proving since those specimens come from the eastern side, they come in they're well transported, and it's not exactly possible to tell whether that was a predatory interaction or scavenging. But I have no doubt that at the very least, because baby dinosaurs would have been at the bottom of the food chain of pretty much any of these
Anything.
systems.
Yeah.
Even the frogs are like, yeah, that's mine.
They make a lot of babies, and that is because the babies are going to die. So I have no doubt that at the very least, smaller dinosaurs would have been food for Deinosuchus. And the other stuff that I have on my list would just be another large Crocodilian Terminoneris that's a little bit older. Yeah, Deinosuchus
Great
is
pick. That's an
it's
awesome
an
animal.
interesting
Oh, that's so cool.
skull shape. I call it kind of a boogie board skull shape. The one of the reasons why you shouldn't trust old size estimates of Deinosuchus is that they were based off of alligator itself, and it turns out that the snout of Deinosuchus is a very different shape from alligator.
Yeah.
Whereas Terminoneris, we're talking about something that looks a lot more like a gharial. So another very large crocodilomorph with a very different kind of snout shape. So Terminoneris is another good one. Sarcosuchus. If
Yeah,
we're
of
talking
Of
about
course.
Fair.
if we're
I-
talking
I
about
also-
Suchomimus, I think Sarcosuchus is probably gonna edge out that animal in
Yeah,
that same environment.
correct me from I believe that from almost every single environment that Deinosuchus is known to occur, it is the largest predator. I do not believe it actually occurs with any larger predator in its ecosystem, so it was probably the apex everywhere it was.
Yeah, well, I can speak best for the Menifee, and the Menifee it almost certainly is larger than
definitely
Dynamo
was, right?
Terror.
Yeah, Dynamo
Um,
Terror is still not even a small tyrannosaur. That's still a beefy boy.
Yeah, I dug out a decent sized juvenile femur, and it's about as long as my legs are. And even that, I was almost a little disappointed that it turned out to be a Tyrannosaur femur, because the part that was exposed looked curvy enough to be a crocodilian femur, and those femora are exactly what you need to do body length estimates. So
The data,
I was
the holy grail,
data.
the
No,
holy
it just
grail.
turns out to be a stupid Tyrannosaur, so whatever.
Even here in Eastern North America, we've got some pretty large specimens of Deinosuchus. In fact, I think we have some of the oldest known range of Deinosuchus specimens.
Yeah,
And
it was also so long.
right here. So
There we
Dude,
go.
no way.
that is actually the
Oh, wait,
largest.
actually, hang on.
It's a cast, but this is the largest Deinosuchus.
Actually, it's funny. I've got a real one right here. I forgot about that.
Ben, I want to
It's
ask your
unfortunately quite
opinion.
small, but I got it.
I'm all ears.
What do you think of the giant Neosuchian from the Williams Fork? Is that Deinosuchus or is that something else?
So in my paper, I considered it to be not close enough in osteoderm anatomy to be referable. They differ in that they're obviously large, but they're more flattened, and it's kind of the inflated character that separates Deinosuchus. Even the smaller one of these ones that I have, this is a nuchal scute. Even the small ones that sit on the neck and on the sacrum are really inflated, whereas the Williams Fork thing, that was a Foster and Hunt Foster paper, I believe. Yep. I mean, what do I want to say on a podcast?
Everything.
I would say
no, don't say everything. Your career, man.
I would say that morphologically speaking, and I think it's really only the osteoderms of the Williams Fork critter that are known, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. Hang tight. We got some stuff.
Okay, but pull me aside at SVP or shoot me an email.
Definitely.
I was gonna say, what are your thoughts on the size of Sarcosuchus compared to Deinosuchus?
Yeah.
I
Here
haven't
we
seen
go.
any. I haven't seen any Sarcosuchus material, so I shouldn't really opine on that.
I know Sereno's got a bunch. I know he's got a bunch over at the University of Chicago collections. But
He's got a
otherwise, I don't
bunch he
know.
hasn't published on.
I know that much, yeah.
And I know he's frustrated because the bone dealers followed him on his most
Oh,
latest expedition.
Yeah, they did. They freaking they snubbed him. It was
They found a whole lot of stuff, including quite a few like entire skulls of Sarcosuchus. The size estimates they match up.
yeah, it's just that's not fair. Also I had one more freshwater creature I wanted to my mosasaur boys. What are your thoughts on Pononiosaurus, the freshwater mosasaur?
Eh,
He's not a
I
small
don't-
boy. He's
it-
20 foot
it's-
long. That's a pretty decent size for a freshwater predator.
it's special just because they think it might be freshwater. Also, it may not be special. So
Aw.
there's
What,
people.
because there might be
yeah,
other freshwater mosasaurs, or just because he might not be freshwater?
they're most mosasaurs probably could have gone into freshwater.
Oh yeah. To be fair, anything that will they can breathe air. They don't have to worry about they don't have to worry about taking in like the like freshwater as opposed to salt. So theoretically, they could just swim up the river if they wanted.
Yeah. Actually, who was it? During the pink hair, she's the
Melanie.
paleontologist. Yeah. She was giving a talk. Hell Creek, they've got prognathodon teeth that they think that they could have
Oh
been.
yeah. I forgot about that. I would have put I would have saved frog for the freshwater section then.
Yeah.
Really?
I
That I
thought-
didn't know. That's interesting.
I
God,
will
that would
say
be so
I'm
terrifying. Like some
Mm.
poor Edmontosaur just going up to take a drink and then getting snagged by a frog at the surface.
Is that like the Brian Marine member, or is that Tanis that's
I think it was Brian.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's marine though, because there's
Is it-
ratfish and that stuff.
I was just gonna say I'm proud of everyone for not suggesting Deinosuchus for the sea, because that definitely is not a seafaring animal.
No.
You
No
know,
fossils
yeah.
of it in the western interior.
I mean, they did
find
happen on both
alligators in the
sides. They
ocean.
happen on both sides, right?
Correct, and there's this really bizarre theory that was put out in Schwimmer's 2002 book. It's on the shelf over here. We all got props today.
Oh yeah.
The idea that
Mhm.
because the eastern Deinosuchus, and in that day it was called D. rugosus. These days it's D. schwimmeri, is smaller than what's in the west. Rio Grandensis is the one that's known from better material.
Yep.
Hatcherize one specimen.
Right.
If we have time, I've got a funny story about someone using ChatGPT to look at Deinosuchus hatcheri size.
Oh hell yeah.
My.
The theory that was put in there, and just one of several explanations, is that these are sex segregated populations of the same species, and that like the females live in Appalachia and the males live in Laramidia, and that they like cross to breed or
Aw.
whatever. Yeah, cool story, but
Aw.
no, this is not an animal that is traversing open water.
Yeah, probably not. I imagine a lot of there's even the largest ones would probably get curb stomped by your mosasaur boys.
Yeah. Oh, hey, on that mosasaur, it's not Brian member. It's a freshwater deposit of Hell Creek.
Oh,
Cool.
So
I
that's
hope
interesting.
that's not like taphonomic, right? Like it's been disposited elsewhere. That would suck. That'd be awesome if
Well,
they
there
just let like
was
POVs
I don't
river.
know if you recall, when was it? It was released a few years ago. There was a publication on the Hell Creek freshwater elasmobranch fauna, and in there was a Carcharinus,
yes.
and this was very clearly a Venice, Florida sandbar shark, but it wasn't described as such. It was, I believe they labeled it as an indeterminate Carcharinid, and they're saying it's like the youngest or the oldest instance of this type of animal ever occurring, and that more research needs to be done. But if you look at the preservation on it, it's very different than the other Hell Creek stuff. It has very clear water wear.
That's the
And
Sioux site, right?
huh?
That's
Yeah,
the
the
Sioux
Sioux
site,
site. Yeah. Yeah, it was very clearly a sandbar shark, and I believe that the person that found the Sioux locality and found Sioux and all that, I believe she was an avid collector from Florida as well,
Wait, so
which
you think that the tooth might
Sue
have been
Hendrickson?
like
Drops.
transported there?
I suspect that it was somehow dropped.
somebody brought their fossil to somebody brought their like prized possession from home and they lost it in the field and somebody else found it as a
I
fossil.
will say
We've
I
all
have
thought about
seen-
doing it.
I have seen some very East Coasty looking shark teeth from the Bug Creek.
Mhm.
It's weird. So I don't
But
know.
I'm
But
just we
the
call that
odds of
El
a
Bozo.
Carcharinus that this type of morphology wouldn't have existed until the Eocene, which is and like the middle part of the Eocene is where you see like the real like Carcharinus teeth. And then for it to look that derived and look taphonomically so different than all of the erectolobiforms and everything like that they described from there. I'm just not seeing it being likely that this thing came from a Carcharinid from the Hell Creek Formation.
Yeah,
Who
no,
knows, they might find
I've
enough total
read that
sublucus here,
paper. I
too.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I found that interesting.
That's
Anyways,
man.
what are we thinking for the top 3 picks?
All right.
Brachiosaurus.
Anything else?
What?
Spino,
Brachiosaurus.
obviously.
Yeah,
Because he survives the
yes,
Cretaceous.
yes, there we go. Long live. We've got
They
into the
made
Paleocene.
it.
Anything else that we got?
What about
Dinosuchus has to be on
What
there.
about the Latasuchians? What are those? Are those?
I thought those were
considered
only
Jurassic?
marine. And I thought those were Jurassic as well.
They're
Yeah,
right.
I thought those were Jurassic.
Yeah,
To be
those
fair,
Jurassic.
Thalatasuchians, those are that would
Is
be
that
also
like Dacosaurus?
I
Meteor.
think so. Or Stenosaurus.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
Dacosaurus is
Yeah, I
one.
think
I
Yeah.
believe that there are some early Cretaceous ones, if I
There's
recall.
some maybe examples that I can think of, but I definitely more think of them as being a Jurassic group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
My only other
Meteororhynchus.
thing I put
Dacosaurus is a meteororhynchid, I'm pretty sure. Are those Thalatasuchians?
Those are
There's Thalattosaurs and Thalattosuchians.
yes, they're two separate things, I believe.
You're right.
Meteororhynchids are Meteororhynchids Thalatasuchians?
Are they
I thought they were, right?
Thalattosuchians? Like here, they the basal ones look very similar to each other. So the Macrospondylus is the one that everybody has a cast of from Germany. Okay, yeah, Thalattosuchians include Meteororhynchids. Wow.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I thought
And
that was correct.
Teleosaurids. Okay, yeah.
Ah,
Okay,
there we
yeah,
go.
there we go.
Yeah.
There we are.
But those
Yeah,
are
okay,
mainly
so-
marine, right?
They're mainly
Yeah,
marine,
that the
yeah.
whole that's
Okay.
their whole deal is that they basically decided, hey, what if we just became kind of mosasaurid?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Although I did hear that the Thalattosuchians, like Dacosaurus, apparently I talked with Russell Engelman on a Elasmocast podcast, and he was saying that those things were actually underestimated in size, and they're one of
Yeah,
the few things that
Meteororhynchus is
will actually go up.
huge.
Yeah.
Meteororhynchus is so big.
Yeah, I found that interesting.
But yeah, okay, so we
Anyways.
can all agree Spinosaurus #1, probably, or at least either Spinosaurus or Deinosuchus for #1. Who do we think?
Final.
I got
I
a
know.
Dinosuchus. Like,
I'm going
There's also
Jurassic
because
Park 3.
what? Yeah, because they ostensibly they occupy the same niche as like aquatic, like semi-aquatic river predators, but one
So I
is
think
much
we have
larger.
two
than
now.
One of them's an ambush predator. The other one, well,
Well, Spinosaurus. Well, there has been no. Actually, I believe there is potentially some material to potentially say otherwise to what Spinosaurus was hunting.
Although I will
It-
say Deinosuchus was
some
probably
isotopic.
hunting bigger prey, especially pound for pound, than
Yes.
Spinosaurus
Oh
was.
yeah, like even though I don't believe. Yeah, I don't actually know what the largest. I don't actually know what the largest prey item that is, like the largest dinosaur, like not like herbivore dinosaur from non-sauropod anyway, from the Chem is.
Isn't it Paralititan?
It is, but there's no way even Spinosaurus was hunting that. There's no
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
no way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, we can guarantee Spinosaurus is not rolling around in the water
Right.
the way that an
Oh
alligator probably does.
he's probably dragging stuff up and then like and then just destroying it with his forelimbs.
Do we even have evidence of like? I know we have evidence of Spinosaurids going after like dinosaurs. We've got like an iguanodontid, I believe.
Yeah, we got the iguanodon with the baryonyx tooth in it.
Baryonyx, and then
There's some isotope analysis being done on Spinosaurid teeth right now that might suggest that. But work forthcoming. I've only heard tail.
Oxypristis was pretty big too.
Oxypristis was so big, and
Oh.
that was what we know that was Spinosaurus food.
So you said freshwater. That could be on the list too.
That could 30 feet of sawfish.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be, but I'm just thinking that Spinosaurus would have eaten Onchopristis.
That's
I didn't
true.
consider it.
Oh well, I mean we know we did. We have proof.
Yeah, we have evidence. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was almost
I
certainly
probably
its favorite food.
I would probably say that Spinosaurus, because of its size and uniqueness, I would put at #1, and then I would probably put as a close 2, I would put Deinosuchus.
Hmm.
I mean that's
Yeah. It's that much like theropod size, that #1 is kind of interchangeable. Like it's on any given day it could go either way.
Hmm.
then we should have rallied for a Docus here.
I put Trionyx was on my list. Just
That's a good one.
Yeah.
as far as
Just-
really
just the
common.
Tridon.
What's that freshwater
Gafferpiton.
dinosaur that's known from the Chem? I can't remember the name of it.
Little what?
There's a freshwater plesiosaur known from the Chem, so it was almost
Oh, it
certainly
doesn't have a
showing.
name.
It's not Xyvasauria. This is a
No,
Is
no.
it?
that's
I
restricted.
can't remember.
That's
It doesn't have a name yet. It's
It
a
doesn't have a name yet.
Is
Oh,
it
it's a
Bucktail?
polycotylid. I thought it was a plesiosaur.
No, it's
Plesiosaur.
not polycotylid.
I thought he
It's a
was.
plesiosaurus.
I thought it was an elasmosaurine. Actually, that's what I heard. But I thought that was crazy because it was freshwater.
So what were you gonna say,
I
Ben,
forget.
was your third pick?
Oh, I put down Trionyx just because I mean, if we're allowed to do families, which I guess we're breaking the rules enough, I've put down carbon dioxide and
Yeah.
oxygen as two of my answers. Just Trionychids in general, as far as just like dominant groups in freshwater, at least here in Lara Media,
Damn.
it's the most common reptile
It's
fossils that we find.
oops, all soft shell turtle.
Exactly.
yeah.
So
That's a
any
good
just
pick.
all of
There's like a
Trionychidae.
giant. There's like a giant one, right? There's like
There's-
something like stupendously large.
They
for
vary
like
in
a soft
size.
shell.
You might be thinking of Stupendemes, which would be Cenozoic.
Yes. Okay.
But we do definitely have, and like Trionyx, listen, I'm not a turtle person, but I am in league with the turtle people, and they tell me Trionyx, it'll be something new.
You are in league with
there's
the
a
turtle
paleontologist that I
people.
know. Heather. I think Heather works on turtles.
Dr. Smith,
Yeah.
we're
Heather-
talking about the
Heather
same
Smith.
person.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have Spinosaurus and Deinosuchus. Who are you gonna put for number 3?
I like Trionyx. That's a funny thing to put like just the ubiquity of soft shell turtles is number 3.
I was gonna do Sarcosuchus, honestly.
Sarcosuchus is not a bad pick either.
Yeah, I've been debating between Baryonyx or Sarcosuchus.
Hmm.
I'm really torn up on
We
this.
I
find
do
a
like-
coin to flip.
I do like the Trionyx too.
Hang on.
What about
I have an ammonite shell to flip.
what's that fish Lepidodes that's like everywhere in the
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
The
or no
Green
it's
River,
Schneestia in the Cretaceous, sorry.
the
Schneestia.
green
yeah.
Green River stuff. Yeah.
No, it's like Sollenhofen. You find this guy.
Oh, is that Solomon?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Well,
thought that was Green
Solnhofen
River.
would be late Jurassic.
Yeah, but it makes it
Yeah.
into the Cretaceous,
But
and you find these
we
little
know. I think we
teeth
know.
everywhere.
And it could
Yeah.
get big too, right? There's like some.
Oh yeah,
Lepidodes,
They get like 8 feet long. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to
But
Unionids.
the Onchopristis,
Gang gang.
these were being eaten by Spinosaurus. So
We keep throwing out, but we can't figure out exactly
Come on.
on the list. Oh my gosh.
Chordata.
I'm gonna go Baryonyx personally for number 3.
good one. Yeah, it's good.
All right, I could see that. Because we also know they were hunting. They were definitely terrestrial predators as much as they were also like kind of deeper water column predators. Like we have proof of both, which is kind of crazy.
So do you guys agree on Baryonyx for number 3?
Sure, I'll take Barry.
Sure.
This is ironic. This is going to be the one that stops us up, is it? Nothing else. We all agreed on big space rock. We can't agree on number 3 for freshwater.
I mean, besides Spinosaurus, are there any? Well, I guess no. Spinosaurus is the largest in its family.
Yeah.
Oh, by far. It's
By
it's
far.
like it's like 3 times the size of Suchomimus,
Yeah.
the other large one.
And I think what Baryonyx is like. Baryonyx or Suchomimus is like.
Baryonyx is a decent size, like a 25 feet, maybe a ton and a half. But it's like medium theropod size. Whereas like you got medium theropod size in Baryonyx, you got like large theropod size in Suchomimus, and you have mega theropod size in Spinosaurus.
I'm
Oh wait,
hoping-
hang on, I forgot about there is one more Oxalia, but unfortunately we lost that one now.
I think you got Angatorama too, but I think Angatorama is not.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Man, I can't believe we lost.
It's,
I can't believe we lost Oxalia in the fire.
Yeah.
That Brazilian fire really has just destroyed it. It was the only specimen too. 50 years we only ever found the one Oxalia.
I don't know. Maybe. Oh, God. I don't know. This is tripping me up. There's so
This is
many-
hard. Well,
This is
because
pretty salamanders,
everybody talks about
look at-
the Seaway and the Hell Creek, but it's like no one ever talks about the rivers and the Cretaceous.
Wait. It's got to be Coolosuchus. It's the last Temnospondyle.
Oh yes,
Oh,
that's right. That's right.
yes.
We're doing it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Coolosuchus. No, I forgot about that. I was actually gonna put that on my list, but I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's right. A Temnospondyle that makes it that makes it an extra 100-odd million years to the Cretaceous. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, you said you're a salamander guy, right?
I'm tackling them.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Here, share with us a little bit about Coolasuchus, if you can. So
Yeah. So if you take like the Hell Creek, for example, just your a North American like freshwater assemblage, you will find a lot of amphibians, but they're all in a group called lissamphibians. So they're things like frogs and salamanders and I don't think you really find caecilians in the Hell Creek, but they're modern groups and they don't ossify their bones quite like the ones from the Paleozoic do. But Coolasuchus is this really freaky animal from Australia, which is this gigantic amphibian from a much older group called temnospondyls, which are like these big, beefy, almost sort of crocodilian-like amphibians. And when it was discovered, it was such a weird thing to find. They actually wondered if it was a reworked Paleozoic animal or a Triassic animal.
Yeah, what's the next closest young one? Like, what's the
I think
next youngest one?
There's one in the Jurassic, which is closely related, and I don't remember the name of it. So
Right.
they have kind of confirmed that Coolasuchus is probably a legitimate Cretaceous animal, but it's this like 10-foot long, sort of like toilet seat headed
Yeah,
amphibian that was living with.
it looks like you took Pac-Man and you flattened him.
Yeah, it's pretty silly looking.
Another Walking with Dinosaurs edition.
Oh
Yes.
God, yes. But
But it was
unfortunately, I found out that actually they didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but actually, all the like it didn't share an environment with Elasmocrid, did it? Like it didn't actually live in that age, I believe. For the polar episode of Walking with
Yeah,
Dinosaurs.
I'm not sure. I don't know my Australian dinosaur assemblages very well, but it was certainly large enough to eat a small dinosaur.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which is
and there were no crocodilians in its environment because it was probably too cold.
that's the reason it's thought to have survived, right? Because it
Yeah.
was too cold for crocs to live there, but it wasn't too cold for an amphibian to just brumate and just chill.
It's a really cool like kind of Pangea like holdover there. So
it's so sick.
that has my vote.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Number
I
3,
love the ghost
Coolasuchus.
lineages like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so
like one of
cool.
the craziest ones known. It's like because temnospondyls weren't they thought we didn't think they made it that far, and then boom, two. All of a sudden, we got two just in the Mesozoic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I would
ironically,
put
another ghost
Coolasuchus
lineage.
for
We got
3.
Spinosaurs, where we know they evolved in the like we think they evolved in the Middle Jurassic, but they don't show up until the Late Cretaceous. So you got 70 million years just nothing.
Yeah. I'll put Coolasuchus for 3.
All
You
right.
guys agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do
I
it.
think that's the diplomatic answer. We've got a Spinosaurid, a Crocodilomorph,
And the
and then
temnospondyl holding out
and a
against the
Temnospondyl. Why
Tods.
not?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that'll conclude our list. I appreciate all of you guys for coming on, and for those that are watching, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff to help
Don't
support
forget
this
to hit that bell.
Paleontology channel, because there's not a ton of paleontology podcasts, so it's cool being able
By
to
the way,
do that.
shout out Skeleton Crew. You should guys go watch this video and then go look up Skeleton Crew, who are also the coolest people to hang out with. They're tackling it a lot like you, Ben. They're tackling they're tackling the gap of like higher level paleontological knowledge that's been left in paleo YouTube.
Yeah, we've chatted for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
And thank you for inviting us, of course.
Yeah, thank you, by the way.
Thank you so much.
It's great.
It was fun.